Hello, what's up, and welcome to the channel. So today we're going to have a Streets of New Capenna standard deck tech. This is what we call as the Obscura Humans deck, tribal aggro with the reference strategy from the 5-color humans way back in the modern format. So as you can see, this deck list was initially posted at my blog, the info. But today I'm going to have a more detailed discussion of the list of the creature choices, the spell choices, and other components. So if you notice, some of the cards are having the red border, as currently it still has not been legal to play in standard. So basically, as of this posting, we're just through the pre-release weekend, and maybe by next week from, let me check the deck, April 29th will be the release date, and at time it will Streets of New Capenna will now be legal to play in standard and other older formats. So if you're going to check through the creatures first, we're going to start alphabetically. So we're going to go first with Adeline's Resplendent Qatar. This is a staple for Mono White Humans deck. In the Mono White aggro deck, it's typical aggro, but I think this is also ideal to have this card in this list because of this ability, which can also curve out well with how the deck would work. So 2 copies of each in the deck. And next up is Brutal Qatar, also from Innistrad Midnight Hunt, in another staple Mono White aggro component. So 4 copies of each. It's giving that it has a good way to exile creatures from opponents, and also having a human sub creature type would also benefit in the creature curve, and also a utility creature in the late game. Then also we have 4 copies of VIDA, Let's Spellbinder from Six Haven. This one of the utility creatures that has evasion and also can disrupt a relevant spell from the opponent, and also we can know what the game plan would be on turn 3 as we go with how we can react to them, and also tax out their best card at that time and the next possible card that we would play on their turns. And also have 4 copies of Luminac Aspirant. It is also a human, and at the same time a good way to pump out your creatures by having putting them on counters at the beginning of your combat, and at the same time put out the curve for the second turn. So in partner of this, we have the new card from Capenna, which is the Skimming Fence. It is white blue, and casting cost it is 2/3. As it enters the battlefield, you may choose an non-permanent, so the activated abilities of the chosen permanent can be activated, and at the same time, it has all the activated abilities of that permanent aside from the loyalty abilities for planeswalkers, and you may spend mana to activate those abilities, although if it were the mana of any color that can basically activate those abilities. So for now, we can have this as a utility creature to basically disrupt other opponents' relevant cards. Maybe the need for planeswalkers to not able for them to activate it, so it would not matter as if we cannot activate those loyalty abilities, as the main purpose here is just we have to nullify their ability to make them work, and at the same time we can have a 2-drop body which can basically attack and curve put out on the curve of their creatures. Then 4 copies of that, along with Server Kill Silencer. This is black and white from Six Haven also. Its abilities, to aside from 3/2, is you can choose an card name. Then whenever an opponent casts a spell with the chosen card name, they will lose 3 life when you draw a card. So basically a card draw in itself, and damage reach with a loss of 3 life. And it works well with Let's Spellbinder's ability to check out their hand, and at the same time you can use the silencer to name it and get benefit from it in the process. So 4 copies of it also. We also have 4 copies of Talia. It's basically the best, one of the best 2-drops in the deck that can tax off non-creature spells, and also 2/1 in first strike on its own. So aside from being legendary, that's the only drawback here. Can basically put up a good 2-drop along with the Silencer's Defense and the Lumeric Aspirant. So I also included 1 copy of the Capenna card from the Obscura, Tolos Clever Conductor. So its ability is when it enters the battlefield, it connives. So when it connives, you draw a card and discard a card. So if you discarded a non-land card, you may put some counter on this creature. So it also has this trigger that whenever you discard 1 or more cards, you exile them from your graveyard. But at the same time, when Talos dies, put those cards exiled it into this owner's hand. So it's basically a good hand refill later on whenever you go with more discarding. But basically, you can just have it as a 3 to cast 4/2 power toughness. But at the same time, when it dies, those discarded card from the connive ability will be returned to your hand. So good card draw, pseudo card draw and card refill when at the expense of having this when it dies in combat or any other means of triggering its ability. So overall, we have 27 creatures on this. Then we go with the choice of the Planeswalker first. We have Kaito Suzuki. So Kaito is possibly the best creature Planeswalker here because of its ability that you may discard a card, draw a card, but you may discard it unless you attack this turn. So basically a good curve here, as when we curve our turn 3 2-drop, and then you attack and then cast Kaito Suzuki to draw a card. So basically it has a good card draw and no drawback on itself. Also, it can produce a 1/1 blue ninja creature token with its ability that can't be blocked. So another creature source to add to your board. And at the same time, it has a -7 ability wherein getting an emblem that whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, search library for a blue or black creature card and put it in the battlefield, then shuffle. So additional emblem effect, it might not be possible in the long game because of being the deck being an aggro deck. But at the same time, if we ever gets to reach that number of loyalty, it's still good emblem to activate with Kaito Suzuki. So 3 copies of this in the main. Probably in the sideboard we're gonna have more creatures Planeswalker support, like maybe Sorin or maybe the Wandering Emperor. Else we'll have it in the next discussion maybe. So for now, we'll just go with the instance. So 3 copies of Vanishing Verse as a stable removal for for Monocular permanent. We'll have a lone copy of Obscura Charm, the charm for the Obscura family. So its ability, return target Monocular permanent with value 3 or less from battlefield, tap, or you can counter target instant or sorcery spell. You can basically counter Doomscar or any spot removals, and destroy target creature or planeswalker with mana value 3 or less. So it's also spot removal in its own for mana values of 3 or less on the target. So 1 copy of this, and we have 3 copies of Void Rend. So basically this is the staple spot removal for this deck. It can't be countered and destroy target non-land permanent. So its only drawback is that you'll need 3 copies, 3 colors of this to cast. But it's not a problem here as we have this land distribution. We have 23 lands in total for the lands, including some pathways. The new card, the Triumph card here, what's to call it? It's the Raffine's Tower, and some mana fixing from Crimson Bow, and also as a playset of Absolute Courtyard, naming humans as our creature type for mana fixing in the early game. So 4 Blightwine Climb Base for black white, possible mana source. You can check on the other side. And we have Clear Water Pathway, 2 copies for black and blue. And we have Deserted Beach for blue and white. So its only drawback is that it will constantly tap unless you control 2 or more other lands. So playing this on turn 3 will not be a disadvantage. And we have all 4 copies of Hanging Gate Pathway with the back of Mist Gate Pathway. For that is for blue-white mana fix. So Raffin's Tower again, we have 1 swamp. It just comes to play tap, but it's late game it can be cycled for 3 to draw a card for a needed gas if needed in certain situations. So last but not the least, the Shuttle Sanctum. This is black and white with the same ability of Deserted Beach. Comes to play tap unless you control 2 or more other lands. So overall, this is the list for the, call it Esper or Obscura Humans, for standard gameplay. Let me know if you have suggestions as to how this deck would work, or if you may have already tried this a similar list of this in your Magic the Gathering Arena gameplay, or maybe on casual kitchen table type of proxying cards for standard, having series of new Capenna cards for initial playtest of your group. Just let me know in the comments. So we're going to wrap this up with this deck suggestion. You can check it on Architect website. It's still in beta, but the name is Esper Humans Capenna in this account under this username. So we're all going to wrap this up with the whole deck list for your preview. And thank you for listening and watching on this deck tech video for Streets of New Capenna, and until the next upload.